All right, what is going on, guys? So this was an interesting day. On the one day that we think the Dow and the Nasdaq and the S&P is going to run higher, it surprises us and ends the day lower. We've been waiting for this vaccine, for stimulus, for all of these big things, vaccines being one of them, and we finally get the initial rollout starting today and the market trades lower. The Dow ended the day 184 points lower. The Nasdaq ended the day higher, 62 points higher, but that's only because clearly it gapped up and was still above that gap up level. It did end the day lower than where it opened from the market open, and so it was trending down, as you can see. And the S&P, same thing, looks very similar to the Dow. Just gapped up in the morning and then ended the day, 15 points lower, almost 16 points lower. So it's very interesting. We'll dissect that and try and figure out what happened there another time. Um, One of my close friends thinks that the market was just selling into the strength of people buying due to the good news. They were selling because the market was at such a high level already. So that's one thought process. There's many others. So what we'll review today, we don't really have any new trades that I'm looking at for the week. I thought my opinion was that the good news would come out for the vaccines, it would get rolled out, the market would respond, and you'd see all of these stocks surging into strength. But that did not happen. So maybe we'll wait for that for tomorrow. And what that would have done was created a lot of great setups. There would have been a lot of stocks at near highs, a lot of stocks rebounding, a lot of good signs and great setups for trades. Because we don't have that today, we are not going to force it. We're just not going to add any new trades to our watch list. There were a couple from the weekend that I'd like to review with you guys. So we looked at CDXC as one potential trade over the weekend. And then we looked at Vivo as another potential trade over the weekend. And then we also looked at RVP for another potential trade over during the week today. Out of all three of these potential trades, only one of them was actually taken, and that was RVP. So VIVO was one of the top stocks on my list. I had very high hopes for it, probably higher than RVP. But in the back of my head, you never know what will actually happen with these stocks, even if it has an excellent setup, even if it has great fundamentals, it can still surprise you for whatever reason and trade lower or trade higher if you're a short. So we were clearly looking at this for this breakout level of $20, and it tested that the other trading day, broke above it, and then got pulled back down. And so clearly that was a sign of the sellers being in control. The stock was able to break above a critical resistance level and then get pulled all the way back down. And so I'm not super surprised that today the stock ended up trading even lower. However, we were still watching it for a trade to the upside because even though it got pulled back down, it was still very close to that breakout level of $20. However, it couldn't do it today. That's fine. So I just turned off my order. We had an automatic order for the break of $20. It never triggered that order, and so we just didn't take the trade, right? No need to force anything. My target was somewhere up here, $21 and I think 60 cents or 70 cents or something like that, but it never broke out, and so we cut that trade off. We'll see what happens in the next coming days. I'm going to keep this on watch. They call it a watch list for a reason, so you can keep watching it and see how it responds over the next couple of days. It is still in this uptrend if you look at that. So it's not like the stock got plummeted or beat down. It actually stopped right at that low level, on the uptrend, right at that support level. And so it is holding that level very strong. So we'll see if it breaks below it tomorrow, if the sellers can, bring that down and break the pattern, or if it runs higher tomorrow and finally, breaks out of the $20 mark, or if it just stays in between that range. So we'll watch that tomorrow for a trade. But as for today, we did not take that trade on this one. The next one we were watching was CDXC, and we did not take a trade on this one. This was another one that we were watching. You can clearly see the level right here, right? That $5.50 level right there. And then also right above it, you can see that level right there is probably like $5.70 or something like that. So we are watching this for a potential breakout above the upper level, because that would be confirmation. You can see it's clearly faked people out a couple of times. Got up here and it got pulled back down. Got up here, over here, and got pulled back down. My dog's crying because my girlfriend just left and he's attached to her, literally attached to her. So she goes to go take the laundry downstairs or something. He can't take it. His life is it's just too hard, too rough when his mom leaves. So that's what you hear in the background. All right, but anyways, we'll take him out in a bit for a walk and then he'll be happy. So there's been a number of times that this stock has broken above that $5.50 level and it just got pulled back down. And so the real level that we're watching is right above it, and that's that 570, something like that range. However, this stock was not on our list of stocks to trade, even though we like that it has a very clear level right here, very easy to see, very easy to understand. There's a number of reasons why it wasn't on our list of stocks to trade. And some of the reasons were from other websites. We just looked at what other analysts thought of this. They didn't think too highly of it. The fundamentals don't look excellent. It's got a good float range, low volume, typically 365,000 shares typically traded per day. Today it had a lot more shares traded, 2 times that volume, but it was on the selling side, so it reached that resistance area and the shorts stacked on. They stacked on because it was at resistance, and also it does not have great fundamentals. There's not a ton of strong things about this stock, and so of course you're going to short it at the highs. That's the best place to short it. Congrats to the bulls. Insiders are selling out. There's not high institutional ownership, no return on assets, things like that. The earnings over the quarter is kind of one of the higher numbers on there, but sales is kind of stuck at about 17%, which is actually below its percentage for the past 5 years. So who's going to look at this and think that this is a great stock to buy? So even though this had a very clear, easy to understand level, we didn't take this trade on this particular stock. We didn't even put an automatic trigger in. So we X'd out of that. Vivo is still on hold. We're watching it as we mentioned. The trade that we did take was RVP. RVP was a good trade for us because we saw that there was a clear level at the $12 mark right here. Right here, there is clear resistance. Like, this is a very important level. And now that the stock is above that level, I might actually watch this for another trade tomorrow above the high of this candle today, above the high of this candle or above the body of the close of this candle right here. And the reason why is, I don't know if I showed you guys last time, but that $12 mark is critical. You can't really see it too much on this daily chart, right? You can't really see it every day. But if we go over to a weekly time frame, then you see it right here, $12. This is the first time ever that this stock has had a candle, a green candle, a bullish candle, close above the $12 mark. That is extremely significant for this particular stock, right? That's extremely significant. Then we go to the monthly view, and this is the first time ever that this stock has had a candle close above that $12 mark on the monthly time frame as well. And so this is important. This is a pivotal moment for the stock. I think if you take a trade on this, like we got in today around $12.10 and rolled it up to about $12.80. It went to a high of 13.10, I believe. 13.10 was its high. We got out around $12.80 for profit. So excellent trade. We were watching the characteristics of the trade intraday, watching the tape. And every time this stock tried to get pulled back down, we could see some buyers step in and just force it higher. And then it would try and pull back down again. And the buyers would step back in and force it back up. It's almost like they were waiting for the shorts to come in and try and bring it down so they could just overwhelm them and take out their positions. So that was an excellent sign for me to just stay in the trade throughout the day. Now, of course, we could have swung this right till tomorrow, but I'd rather just take my profit. In a market like this, why hold things overnight? You never know what will happen the next day. We can wake up and this thing is gapped down based on some news in this market that can come out. We know what year we're in, right? So took the profit, and then I'll look for a re-entry tomorrow um, for this particular trade. But yeah, that $12 level was the critical level. And so now, if we look for another entry on this, it'll be above that $12.89 area. Probably $13.10 just for confirmation might be a good trade there. And then we can ride this up to, maybe $13.61 for another trade, or even the all-time high of near $14 to see if it retests that level. We can clearly see what's going on with this. It's been held up by a trend, by an uptrend right here, as you guys can see. Broke below it a little bit right here, but still kind of respecting it for the long term. Let's see what else we got here. That's mostly it for this particular trade. The other thing we really liked about it was the fundamentals on it look great. The stock just is in a great position to succeed. It's in a strong sector. The float, it's a low float stock. It didn't have a ton of volume today, right? It had 4 times its typical volume, but that's only 3 million shares traded. Like, that's not a lot. Like, you'd be surprised by how many shares some of these big stocks that move can trade. So 3 million tells me that there's still some room for this to have a massive day. If you look back here in May, this candle was huge. It had, somewhere around a 17 million share traded day on that particular time. Back here in July, it had, maybe 6 or 7 million shares traded. It hasn't even touched that today. It's around 3 million, right? And so there's plenty of room if this can break out of a critical level on this chart where this thing can run even more and you can see more volume start to pour into it, right? Or maybe, the volume's not pouring into it as much. There's not as many shares purchased because it's at a higher price now. So we got to weigh out things equally, but I think this thing definitely has some more room to run if it can break through 13 and continue to run tomorrow. So we'll have this on watch. And as I mentioned, there were plenty of things that I liked about it. The volume's good. The short float percentage means that there's a ton of shorts in there who are ready to get squeezed. And we can see that run to the upside. Insider ownership, those guys were holding on. This is reported quarterly, of course, so we're not sure if that's still in there. But I would imagine if your stock's doing this well, those guys are still in. Why sell when your company's doing well? The chart looks good. There's so many good things going on for it. So we've got that going on. A lot of green payouts here. A lot of good things going on. The sales look great. 133% quarter over quarter, and earnings per share 742%. So I love this play right here. This is a great looking play. We'll look for a re-entry tomorrow. We'll have a tight stop because why give back any profits on it? We're really just looking for, an immediate breakout, a continuation of that momentum going into tomorrow. So, we'll see that. That's a very quick analysis of it. Just looking for a break above, I'll say 13.10. After 13.10, we'll look for a quick entry, ride it up to 13.50, somewhere around there, see how it's responding at that level. If it starts to pull back too much, then we'll just cut the trade for, somewhere close to break even or a small profit. But if it continues to run, then we'll take it all the way up to 14 to retest the all-time highs. All right. All right, guys, there is nothing else. So the most important things is obviously finding the right stocks to trade, right? Make sure you have a proper system in place to analyze the right stocks that work for your system, for your style of trading. So analyze well, make sure you can pick the right stocks, and then protect your capital, meaning have good risk management. That is the biggest takeaway for me through the year of 2020 is risk management is more important than which trades are going to make me the most money or which trades are going to run the highest or any of that stuff. Really, your question should be, how do I protect the downside risk going forward from any of these trades that can take me out? And then how do I risk the same amount on each of my trades? That way, if I lose one, and it doesn't take out a big loss, put a big loss in my account because I risked too much on one particular trade versus all of the others. If you can have a nice system that's pretty stable across the board, you guys can do pretty well. So we're excited, looking forward to 2021 and just trying to finish strong. We'll see how the market responds tomorrow. Very surprising to see it in the day lower after the vaccine was released. So I guess maybe they're just waiting to see if there's some sort of bad reaction to that, or you never know what can happen in 2020. So we'll see what happens. But either way, we'll keep a close eye on the market, and if things start to surge and run higher, we will be on watch. All right, guys, take care. We'll see you soon.